what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stump back for another Optc video, and in today's video we are melting everything. Akainu versus Akainu. Melts literally every single team in PvP. It's actually disgusting. This particular unit has just unlocked, or further unlocked, the quick driven team, as well as basically destroying so many other teams that rely on red units like the Slasher and the Ryoiin team, and basically just tears through everything. So what I want you guys to do for me is go down there and belt that like button for me, and if you're new to the channel, hit the big red subscribe button as well. And for you guys that are already subscribed, you absolute bloody legends that want to support your boy even more, we now have emotes on the channel. We now have badges on the channel. So if you're looking to support your boy even more, it is not expected but greatly appreciated. Hit that juicy join button today. But what I want you guys to do now is grab your left hand, take it to your right shoulder, pull it down to your left hip, and buckle yourself in, boys, because we have a lot of fights coming. I will be timestamping the crap out of this video, so head down to the description if you guys want to fast forward to a particular fight. But with Akainu today, we are basically taking on every single color team. We're taking on some rainbow teams, we're taking on some slasher teams, and we are just melting them all. So, if you guys don't know what this unit does, if you guys have been living under a rock and you play OPTC, and you don't know what's going on with this guy, his ability at level 5 gives attack up level 5 to quick teammates and defense up level 3. For the first 20 seconds of the fight, he gives himself special cooldown level 5 and attack up level 5. So ideally, you want his special popping off very quickly, so that way you can do a lot of damage. His special, on a 25 turn cooldown, targets enemies within a large range for 2 times damage, will then target strength enemies for 1.5 times damage, and then for the first 40 seconds of the battle, targets enemies within a large range for a 30% HP reduction. Absolutely monstrous. So, the fact that you're getting his special off in the first 30 seconds means you're getting that HP cut, and if there are strength enemies or you're versing a strength team, it's GG, like straight up. But, let's have a look at the team that we're using. So, this particular team is my main go-to, quick, driven, whatever you want to call it team, but there are some other very good options. Now, I do talk about them in particular fights, but I'm going to quickly touch base on it over here. There are 5 very good free-to-play units that work amazingly with Akainu. First of all, we have Queen. Queen's Rumble special is absolutely incredible, does a lot of damage, a lot of tankiness. Queen's Rumble ability gives quick teammates level 5 HP and level 2 defense, absolutely amazing. Another free-to-play unit you guys have options to access to is Bellamy. Now, Bellamy's great because he's driven, so he's getting a lot of buffs, and he buffs a lot of this team as he is a driven booster. He has a very good special on a 15-turn cooldown, nuking defense, and then his ability gives himself less defense, which is fine because he dies most of the time anyway, but then it gives himself attack and driven class teammates HP up level 5, which is massive. I do find HP to be the best stat in Rumble, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Another really good free-to-play option that you guys have for this particular team is something like Yonko. Now, Yonko I have included in one of the clips today. I sort of have moved away from using this particular unit, but he's still very good. His Rumble special does level 12 attack down for 20 seconds, and does a little bit of damage, and with his amazing ability, giving himself so much HP, and then giving the rest of the team defense up level 3, he's a really good option to be putting in your middle slot. If you guys are missing some of those units, you do have Lucy. The Pirate Rumble Lucy that came out is a really good option as well. He gives attack up level 5, HP up level 5, and then just basically destroys strength units, gives defense down level 3, and then does a bunch of damage as well. So you do have access to this particular Lucy as another free-to-play option. A really good option if you guys are struggling for nukers on the bench, you do have the Kizuna King. So Kizuna King that came out alongside Treasure Map Queen is another really good option if you guys are looking for a nuker on the bench. If you guys get to, if you have him in the front lines for the first 60 seconds, he does 2 times his attack with a 100% chance to apply paralysis. But when there's less than 60 seconds, he's going to target 3 enemies for attack times 2, and then does a 100% chance to paralyze as well. So, very good when you can get him in between the, the 60 and the 40 second mark. If you can get his special popping off in between there, so like having him like in the middle of the bench somewhere or on the first slot of the bench, he can actually provide a lot, as if you are between the 60 and 40 second mark, he is actually going to do both of those abilities. He gives attack up level 5 and speed up level 5 to quick teammates as well, so a very good option. Now, I am totally blanking on what the other unit is. No, that's the 5 units. We've spoken about the 5 units. Cool. So that's the 5 free-to-play units you have for this particular team. As for Legends, this team has a lot of very good options as well. Now, my personally favorite unit to use on this team, besides obviously Kaido. I guess we'll talk about him first. Kaido and Akainu are like the glue for this particular team. They're the ones that do all the damage for you guys. Kaido is just a phenomenal unit. He's special, level 3 defense down, and then doing a massive attack. Very, very good range, 50% chance of paralysis, and with his ability giving himself level 10 up attack, level 10 up speed for the first 40 seconds, as well as HP up and defense up level 5 and 3 to your teammates, works really, really well. As once he gets that Thunder go off, you just absolutely just board wipe, and you just do so much damage, and the paralysis, it's a nice little bonus. The final unit that we're going to talk about is Tessero. Now, Tessero is a phenomenal unit in the front lines. I love using this unit as his special does level 7 defense up and fixed damage, which is awesome. But his ability gives cooldown level 5. And then if you are above 60% HP, you just get a little bit of defense, which is really, really nice. But the other option you guys have for this particular team is Kuzan. Now, V3 Kuzan is a terrific shout, but I just do find the team doesn't function as quickly without Tessero. But Kuzan's special does a lot of damage and then has a 100% chance to special bind the highest attack enemy. So it can actually like work well in your favor, and we do actually come up against a variation that actually almost beats us as well. So the quick team with Kuzan is another option, and depending on your RNG, whenever you come up against it, is going to be a little bit of an issue. But his rumble ability gives speed up and attack up as well. For the first 40 seconds, he can give like level 10 speed and level 5 attack. So there's that option for you. As for the bench, Whitebeard is a terrific option, obviously, because we are running quick. And then stuff like Sober Mask, Karku, PvP Law, even Rare Recruit Enel is a really, really good option for you guys as well. But that's enough about the team. Like I said, I do have like a million fights for you guys. So if you guys want to head to the timestamps, head down there now. Otherwise, enjoy the carnage. Let's hop in. Alright, so the first fight of the video, we're coming up against the Strength team. Now, I sort of have undersold the Strength team quite a bit. In my team tier list, they didn't even make the list, but ideally they're the lowest of the colors, and mainly because Akainu exists. Now, I did see a couple of things on Twitter, and I did see a couple of videos from other content creators saying that this is the Akainu killer and stuff like that, with like a picture of Ace. Just no. Just straight up no. Akainu just absolutely decimates the Strength team. Now, I imagine there's probably a way to make the Strength team work, and you might get a couple wins with some good RNG, but Strength just still need a lot of help. The addition of Pirate Rumble Law does help out a lot, but as you can see, like, we just devoured Odin in, like, the first 25 seconds. As soon as Kaido gets his special off with Tessero giving the amount of cooldowns that he does, it's just GG. Like, Law didn't even need to get a chance to pop off his special. Karku did, however, and he does have Sober Mask and Whitebeard as his bench. So he does have a very, very strong bench. But the thing is, like, even with Jack coming in, doing his big HP cuts, as soon as this man pops his special off and gets all 3 of those hits in, like, there is just absolutely nothing the Strength team can do. Like, it's just like, it is what it is. Now, I imagine the Strength can put up a good fight against stuff like Int and Dex and Psy. Maybe not Psy, because there are a lot of good Strength slashes, but, like, this has just been an absolute joke. The amount of damage that they've done is just through Whitebeard and Sober Mask. Like, without the Whitebeard and Sober Mask there, like, there would not be much damage. Sure, Jack does a bunch of HP cuts, which is really, really nice, but, like, all the units are dead. They've lost all their passives, and they just can't do anything. So, look, Strength can be a viable team, and I am putting together a meta sort of colored team video for you guys, but if you put him up against Akainu, like, it's GG. Like, it's a no contest. But that was against Strength. It is what it is. Let's move on to another color now. Alright, so we're taking on a Dex team now, and this team actually has Corazon in the main line. I really wanted to showcase this as Corazon is one of the big killers of the quick and driven team. The downside to his team is he's not running Zoro in the back. If he had Zoro in the back, this team would be a lot more scary, but he's just opted to go with Sober Mask in the front. He must not have Zoro, but he also has Alvida. Alvida is actually a fairly decent option, but this Dex team isn't exactly the most optimal one to be sort of tanking this particular team, but it was really the only thing that I could find when it came to the Dex variation. The Dex variation is really, really good. It's a great defensive team, but it sort of struggles when you come up against characters that can either lower defense, which our team has a lot of, or characters that can actually special bind. I find special binding when you're versing the Dex team, Halloween Law especially, is just such a really, really good option. But as you can see, with Sober Mask in the front, he just get absolutely clapped. You really want Sober Mask coming in with the last sort of 40 to 30 seconds. And then we've got our big dog Akainu coming in, sort of clearing the scraps out there. And from this point on, he's pretty much done. The Dex team does have a lot more support. It really has like the rare recruit Frankie's a really good option. You have the treasure map Komurasaki, who's a really good option. There is a lot of very good defensive options like PvP Bardo as well. And that way you can sort of stall out a little bit. But unfortunately for this guy, he got the absolute clap. Let's move on to another team now. Alright, so we're coming up against Int now. So this particular team that we're versing utilizes Fuji in the front. Now, this team is very driven-centric besides Jozu. But Jozu, the PvP Jozu, is just an absolute weapon for the Int team. So if you guys do have Jozu, you do want to include him somewhere, as his passive is actually really good. This guy's running the Enel passive as well, which is incredibly strong, as long as you have 6 or less units. And then he's just got a cheeky Big Mom in the back, just for a little bit of sort of board wiping at the end. But the way that this guy's team's operating is he's trying to stall it out, so that way that his Fuji can get off that huge, like, 59% HP cut of whatever it is, as well as having the nerfing capabilities of, what's his name? Katakuri, and then having that core-centric of V1 6+ Dofi. V1 6+ Dofi just fits on so many teams, namely the Driven team, the Slasher team, and the Int team, obviously because they're his tags, but you can always just find a spot for him anywhere on those teams. So we did manage to pop off our Akainu special, which does a lot of HP cutting and a lot of damage. Unfortunately, we only hit half his team, however, but then we got the big dog Kaido in just basically to sort of clean up the scraps. Managed to take out Jozu, which is really good, but unfortunately, Fuji was just left with a bee's dick of HP, which is a bit of a shame, because now I think his special is actually going to pop off, and that way he's actually going to get that huge HP cut. Animal special kicks off, gives him a bunch of defense, which is really strong. Animal's actually a really good option for rainbow teams and as a bench unit. If you guys are missing some of these bench units, as you can see, my bench is actually fairly strong. We do have Tessero in the back. You'll kind of see him make his way into the front over Ivankov. I do actually prefer running that sort of variant of Akainu a little bit more. And then having something like the rare recruit Enel in the back, or you can have something like Colgara Noland, or you could have Lore, or you could have Karku, any of those really good nukers. But what I'm trying to get at here is rare recruit Enel is actually a really good option if you are missing some of those nukers in the back. So I don't think Fuji actually popped off his HP cut, which is really good. As you can see, the in team still is very defensive and still puts up quite a fair fight, as we are coming down to the last 30 seconds. But if we start losing units here, we just have so much support on our bench that we shouldn't have any issues taking out the rest of this fight. Like I said, I do prefer running Tessero in the front lines. You guys will see that in, or have seen that in some of the other clips. But Ivankov is a very good free-to-play option for you guys alongside Bellamy. So if you guys are looking to build an Int team and you're struggling for some of these units, they are very good options for you. So that was against Int. Didn't seem to have too many issues. Let's move on to the next fight. Alright, so on to the next Int fight now. Now, I really wanted to include this particular team as it is using the Halloween Lore and Halloween Shanks combo. They've got Jozu floating around in the back there, which is a bit of an odd one to me. They do have Konus in the front, and I do think this particular defensive build is they've sort of put it together to sort of counter Enel teams, as Katakuri and Konus are just amazing at taking down stuff like Sai, and like Free Spirits and stuff like that with Katakuri. So I do feel like this team was sort of put together just to sort of take down all of those Sai teams that have been running Riot for a little while before the release of Akainu anyway. But the big reason I wanted to include this, very similar to the Slasher teams that you guys will see a little bit later in the video, the combination of Halloween Shanks and Halloween Lore does work incredibly well. The beautiful thing about our particular team is, though, that Kaido is actually immune to Special Bind. Kaido being immune to Special Bind just lets us function so much better, because once Lore pops his special off, which he's about to do, his 100% chance of special binding our entire team is just absolutely, it's the biggest blue balls that you could possibly do, and it totally cocks the Dex team, by the way. But the beautiful thing here is we actually have Kaido, and Kaido actually is immune to that. Unless you get action binded from Shanks, Kaido is always going to come in and just do so much damage to the Dex team. Once you take out Katakuri, once you take out Dofi, it sort of struggles for its main core. Having Jozu in the back isn't a terrible idea, as Jozu has a very good passive, but once you sort of get to this point, it's already just too late. So I do feel having Jozu in the front would have been a little bit better to sort of counter my particular team. But as I mentioned, I think that this team was sort of just put into play to sort of nerf some Sai Enel teams that have been running around. But as you can see, once we do take out Halloween Shanks and Halloween Lore, he has absolutely no damage output whatsoever. He's got poor old Jozu sitting there looking like a chump, and with that, he's just going to get absolutely blasted by the Thunderbolt. Oh, he tanked it though. That was pretty impressive there, Jozu. Good shout. Shame there's still 35 seconds of the fight left, but that was the infights. Let's move on to another color or another class now. I'm not sure how I'm going to structure this video. Alright, on to another team now. I did manage to find this like rainbow looking team, and it does use a very, very strong lineup of legends. The rainbow team isn't exactly where it needs to be, but it does find a place in the meta, as you do have characters like Rayleigh, Shanks' crew, Roger, Luffy, Sanji. You can slide Law onto the team. You have good options like Sanji Pudding. We will have like Ace Sabo in the future as well. So there are a lot of really good units that you can put on this particular team, but it's mainly cerebral based that I always found. Nevertheless, though, it does have a lot of good options, but I just wanted to show off that this team, this Akainu quick team, just absolutely melts the crap out of these high-end legends. Doesn't matter how strong the actual character is, you still need to build the team around a particular point of view, and sort of just chucking characters like Shanks' crew, who's a very, very good Rumble unit, Luffy Sanji, who's a great attacking Rumble unit, Roger, who's the absolute GOAT, Law, who's great for nerfing, Rayleigh, who's a really good defensive unit, and then having something like Whitebeard, one of the best bench units in the back, provided like that they are all amazing units. Sort of just chucking them onto a team really doesn't do too much in terms of where you want to be with doing damage, tanking shots, getting your synergy with all of your stats. Now, I find that HP is the best stat to have. Defense is nice, it scales the best. Attack scales terribly, and there are ways around it with like HP cutters and fixed damage users. But I find that HP is the one that the enemy can't reduce, provided obviously losing characters. And I find that if your team can have a nice chunky amount of HP, you're going to be in good stead when coming up against most of these teams, as the enemy just has no way of reducing that. Reducing defense is just such an OP ability, as well as doing stuff like HP cuts and fixed damage to get through HP. But if you can tank out your HP, like with our team here that has level 15 HP, you guys are going to be in a really good position to sort of take the fight into those longer periods. Like, as you can see, like this team actually was doing a lot of damage to us and managed to sort of nuke us a little bit. But once we get down to the last 30 seconds, if he does manage to kill units, we have so much power on the bench coming in that we're going to be in very, very good stead. So that was a bit of a rainbow team there. Let's move on to another fight now. Alright, so I managed to find a bit of a rainbow team. Now, rainbow team is still pretty viable, and it does still work fairly well. There are a lot of really, really good options in terms of just rainbow units. You've got stuff like Shanks' crew, you've got stuff like Rayleigh, Roger just slides in so well, Tessero's a great option, you also have Jack, who's a fantastic defensive unit, but very similar to the clip that you guys saw initially, just because there are very, very good Rumble units, just slapping them all on one team, even though they do give synergy to basically your entire team, it doesn't mean it's going to work all that well. Now, the reason I wanted to take this team on is because they do have Corazon on their team. They've got four very, very good Rumble units, very good defensive unit in Rayleigh, very good defensive unit in Shanks' crew. Roger's a great nerfer and does quite a good damage, as well as Tessero being just an amazing unit as well. But nevertheless, without a strong bench, because you are running 5 legends, it's just a matter of time before our team will manage to sort of take out particular units. Then the team starts losing passives, and once they start losing passives, they just have nothing sort of to grasp onto in the back end of the fight. And even with a character like Corazon or Law that you saw in the last clip, even though they have some good units that sort of counter our team, unfortunately, without the two of them either being together or having the right support around them, it's just not going to be a viable option, especially when you are defending. And running the rainbow team as defense is it's a little bit of a yikes, because it's so easy to counteract just by purely changing your team. But nevertheless, it is still a team that lots of people are using and is still a really good option if you are struggling to sort of get as much synergy as possible. But as you guys saw, it doesn't stand up to stuff like the quick team. It probably doesn't even stand up to stuff like the Psy or the Int team, if I'm being truthful. Moving on to Psy now. Now, Psy is one of the scarier options, as Psy and Quick are pretty much the meta teams at the moment. This particular team was a little bit funky, and I did see him try and sort of bait out with his structure. He is running Enel, he does have Toy Soldier and Rebecca, as well as Otama. Otama's actually a pretty good option for healing, but I do think V1 Shirahoshi is actually a better option. This guy's opted to put Kaido in the back, and it's another reason why I wanted to actually take it on. Just to show you guys that just because there's a Kaido or a Zoro sitting in the back, you don't have to stress too much, provided you have enough firepower to actually take out the front units and put yourself in good stead. Otama popped off very, very early. Otama's really good because she can give a lot of cooldowns to mainly Free Spirit and Fighter units, but she also does a very, very good heal. I do find that she works better on defensive teams, however, and with the side team having access to Shirahoshi, Legend Shirahoshi, she just provides a little bit more to the team than what Otama can. But this particular team also has Wano Lore. Another reason why I actually wanted to showcase this, as Wano Lore is another one of those driven sort of killers, as his passive is very good at nerfing powerhouse and driven characters. And this particular side variation is looking at using Germa as well. Germa's a really good option for the side team. The side team has a lot of very good, like, a lot of good options with like Roger and Enel and Boa and Germa. There's just it has a lot of stuff going for it, and it was kind of nice to see that they sort of hybrided up the Kaido and Enel option. And if you are doing that, I find that Aokiji, V2 Aokiji is a really, really good option. But as you can see, like, even if we get hit by the sorry about that. Even if we do get hit by the Kaido special, we just have so much defense, and we're just in such good stead with our bench that we can sort of tank it, and then we're good to go. Like I said, if you guys don't have like Sobo Mask and Karxma and Whitebeard, all this Pyro Rumble units, if you guys haven't summoned on Pyro Rumble banners, you do have options like Rare Recruit Enel. You guys would have possibly picked up some Pyro Rumbles with the tickets they've given us from the events. But there are some really good Rare Recruit options that do work really well as nukers. And another option for the quick team is actually the Kazuna King, the free-to-play option. He's another really good nuker for the bench as well if you guys are looking for another option. But that was against Sai. Let's move on to another Sai fight now. Alright, so on to another Sai team now. We've got a Shirahoshi variation. Now, Shirahoshi, in my opinion, for the defensive Sai team is just absolutely amazing. If you can get her special to pop off when you're below 50% HP and get that amazing, like, 50% HP heal as well as the attack up and the defense up, it can absolutely just put you in such good stead. And putting together with Roger, Enel, and Toy Soldier, it just works really, really well. But it is very RNG based in terms of what characters attack Shirahoshi, where she puts herself. But she's a very, very good option for a defensive team, because once you do get that heal off, and it does give you like a full heal as well as the defensive stats as well as the attacking stats, you basically look at the other team that's just like beaten and battered, and you're sitting there in just such a very, very good position that it just puts you in such a good mood when you are fighting other teams, because you're just looking at it like, well, there's no way I'm going to lose at this point. But as you can see, against the quick driven team, if they do lose Shirahoshi before that special, it's basically GG from there. If they do pop the special off before the 50% mark with Shirahoshi, her heal is still amazing. Giving those stats like the attack up and the defense up just puts you in a really, really good position. And if they were to get this special off and they did get good RNG, it would make it a little bit more tricky for us. But she's a bit of a devil if you do come up against her, and I do recommend trying to avoid her, to be honestly with you guys, as she can sort of swing a fight very, very well. But the side team has a lot of very good options. They've got Germa, they've got Boa, they've got Law, they've got Roger. Then they've got the Rumble units in Kolkara Nolan, Rebecca Toy Soldier. But ideally, you want to be running like an 8-man team with this particular setup, or you want to be using some very good nukers in the back, sort of stuff like Kaido. Kaido hybrids really, really well onto this team, using like a Sai-driven Roger team. Or you can look at using like Super Type Zoro in the back. But nevertheless, the quick team doesn't struggle too much with the Sai team. And Akainu, once again, melting everything. Alright, on to Slashers now. Now, this was the OG meta team. Once upon a time, not too long ago, in a different land, this particular Slasher team ruled the roost. This Slasher team destroyed everything for months on end over here on Global. But now we have good old Kaido, we have good old Akainu, we have Super Type Zoro, we have Enel. There's a lot of things that beat this team now. And unfortunately for the Slashers, they do find themselves third on the list, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, they still put up a fight. They still put up a very good fight. I have used an Enel team against a Slash team and lost. Like, they have the addition of Pirate Rumble Law, who's a really, really good option. And I have lost to this particular team using stuff like Sai Enel teams, even using some quick variants as well, with just some bad RNG here and there. But nevertheless, 99% of the time, this, with Akainu now, definitely. But before Akainu's release, this Slasher team still kind of put up a little bit of a fight. Now with Akainu and Kaido, and the amount of damage you can output so quickly, and the restricted bench options that the Slashers have, mainly because they're always running a 5-man legend team, it just makes them struggle a little bit. But with the addition of Pyro Rumble Law, there is some other options for you guys in the front line. That way, as you can just run some 8-man bench teams. You can use stuff like Zoro in the back. Super type Zoro is a slasher as well. But nevertheless, this team sort of has dropped off finally. Honestly, like, I'm not trying to undersell the slashers. They are still amazing, and they were my original favorite team. Even when Int was running Riot, like, I still loved running slashers. But just now with the release of these, like, amazing driven quick units, as well as the side, like the side of it as well, slashers they just aren't going to see too much play moving forward. But you can still beat a lot of very strong teams with them. So don't undersell your slasher teams if that's what you're still maining. They are still very, very good. On to the Neo slashers now. I'm really glad I found this team. This particular team, the exact setup, was my favorite team when I was playing Rumble, like, hardcore. As soon as Halloween Shanks came out and I managed to pick up Halloween Lore, I'm pretty sure I picked up Halloween Lore on a treasure map banner on like a 30-gem multi on stream. As soon as I picked them up, I rainbowed them like both instantly. Limit broke key, both of them, and I was running this team like absolute hotcakes. I loved this team so much. The combination of Halloween Shanks and Halloween Lore just works so well. You've got Dofi as a core, and they're both boosting Dofi. Then you've got the Ryoiin combination for nerfing and damage output, and it just works so damn well. But now we have Akainu, now we have Kaido, now we have Enel. Very similar to what you saw in the previous Meta Slasher team video. The Akainu special in particular just absolutely decimates our boy Odin. And the problem with that is once Kaido comes in, Kaido just basically tears through the big three that are doing all the damage for you in Shanks, Lore, and Odin. Now, Odin doesn't really have a place to hide, but Halloween Shanks and Halloween Lore do. Now, I unfortunately haven't been able to find any other like team builds like this, but this team was completely maxed out, had a very high Pirate Rumble base stat, whatever you want to call it. I know that doesn't mean too much in the grand scheme of things, but it does show that this guy has like limit broken these units, cotton candy these units, and put together a pretty solid team. But just nowadays with the new age coming through with all these new meta teams, the slashers, like I said, they have just fallen off. And if you are running these high-end driven quick teams or the Enel team, you're going to be in good stead against slashers. So let's move on to another color now. On to the big dog quick team. So this particular team is a little bit of a mirror match, but it doesn't actually have versus Akainu. What it does have is Kaido, though, as well as the original driven sort of Kaido-based team. So I wanted to sort of show this off as like how much stronger Akainu makes the quick team and how much value the versus Akainu has on the quick driven team. Now, the quick driven team, even without Akainu, can still put up a fight, and it is another reason why I wanted to show this here. If this guy had a bit of a stronger bench in terms of having like Mask or Kaku, or even like Zoro, super type Zoro in the back, this team would actually function a little bit better. They could also include Roger in the front lines. That's another good option. You can have Roger in that driven sort of hybrid setup. That's a very good shout. But as you can see, once we sort of get Kaido coming in, lowering the defense, and then with our Akainu coming in to do the HP cut and his big sort of damage blast, we're pretty much in really good stead, even though we do get hit by the Kaido special. This team has a lot of defense, so can actually tank, and has a lot of HP. With the 15 HP buff, we managed to sort of tank those sort of Kaidos, we tank those Enel shots, we tank those Odin shots. All of those really scary attacks that normally do like a crazy board wipe can actually see like no damage for this particular quick team. The downside is once you do get to the final stage of the fight, things like Super Type Zoro and Dex Mask can actually be pretty scary. Now, we did manage to get our Tessero special popping off. Tessero is a really good option for the front lines, and I actually prefer running him over Kuzen, mainly because he provides a defensive buff, level 7, to a small radius, which normally only hits himself, but the fact that he hits himself is actually really good, because he's giving 5 cooldown to our specials to all of our units, so keeping him alive for the majority of the fight actually helps out a lot. Now, as you can see, his team's pretty much in shambles now. It's basically game from here, but as you can see, like he still managed to put up a lot of damage. The Whitebeard special can still be very scary in the final stages as well. He can special bind a lot of our units, as we are running a lot of powerhouse units, besides Kaido, obviously, who's immune to special bind. But he can still do, the team can still do a lot of damage, but unfortunately, it just doesn't have the manpower to take out Akainu. So that was a quick team. Let's move on to another quick fight now. Alright, so moving on to another quick team now. We, once again, there is no Akainu, but what they do have is Super Type Zoro in the back. Super Type Zoro, if you are missing Akainu, is a really good shout, as if he comes in the last 30 seconds, you're in for a scary time if he has that special ready to go. Like, it's very, very scary. Another thing that this particular team has is Pirate Rumble Lucy. So I kind of wanted to showcase that. Pirate Rumble Lucy is actually a really good option for the quick team. Pirate Rumble Lucy, Ivankov, Bellamy, and Kazuna King are all very, very good free-to-play options, as well as Treasure Map Queen. All of those 5 units can actually find a very viable spot on this particular team. As I mentioned, Kazuna King's a great nuker. You can easily use him in the back. Ivankov and Bellamy in the front provide a lot of damage, defense down reduction, as well as attack down reduction. And then utilizing things like the Pirate Rumble Lucy can actually give you guys a little bit of attack. And I think he gives a bit of speed as well. I haven't really used him too much. But I do know that he is a good shout, and he is a really good option, just having those lower costs and allowing you guys to use an 8-man team. Using an 8-man team is way more viable than using a 5 to 6-man team. Relying on, like, nukers as your bench can actually come in and clutch a fight, and that's why I wanted to showcase this fight, as Zoro can be very, very scary. Unfortunately, we have taken out 2 of his units, and he does still have Sobermask as well as Zoro in his team lineup, but we did manage to get quite lucky there with taking out taking out Kaido with our Queen special, and once we've done that, it's basically GG. Lucky for us, we managed to tear through his team quite quick. If you do see a Akainu in the front and then something like a Zoro in the back, you do want to be mindful of that, but because of the amount of legends that are available for this quick team, it's hard to find a spot for Zoro in the bench, but if you do have the cost available, definitely look at sliding him on if you guys do, because he can just save a match for you guys. But that was against another quick team with Zoro. Let's move on to the next quick fight now. Alright, so moving on to the final fight of the video, we're coming up against the big dog quick team. Now, this particular quick team is very, very scary. It's a little bit of a mirror match, but there are some notable differences. So with his front line, he is still using Ivankov and Bellamy, but he does have Kaido and Akainu. Now, this particular setup does work very, very well. However, he does have Kuzen in the back. Now, Kuzen is another really, really good option for the quick team, as he can provide a lot of cooldowns and speed. I'm pretty sure he can like action bind and stuff as well. Unfortunately, though, I do prefer running Tessero, and having Tessero in the front lines, giving the special cooldown reduction for me personally, and then the defensive buff as well, is just much, much more viable for this particular team. This whole team, the quick team, is more about sort of just tanking those early shots and then outputting so much damage at the beginning and then like coming towards the end. And if you do lose units, you do have your Whitebeard, you have your Sobermask, you have your Karxma in the back as well. So there's a lot of very, very good options in terms of if the fight goes down to those last 30 seconds. Now that he's got his Kuzen in, his Kuzen's probably going to have some sort of special cooldown. We did lose our Bellamy, which is pretty common when you are coming up against some very strong teams. But something to note about his team is he does have Sobermask in the back, and that's another really, really good shout for like any team. If you guys are running sort of 8-man teams, you want to be looking having Sobermask in your final spot. That's because once Sobermask comes in with 30 seconds to go, like, he can just board wipe the crap out of you. Like, absolutely board wipe you. Sorry, 40 seconds. There's 40 seconds to go. So we're down to 60 seconds now, and we have done quite a bit of damage to this guy. As I mentioned, like just having Tessero in that front there, just letting him pop off his specials a bit quicker, as well as being able to tank a few more shots, just puts you in a little bit more of a better stead when it comes to these types of fights. Now, we actually lost Kaido before he managed to pop off his special a second time, but it doesn't matter too much, as we actually have our Sobermask coming in with a max special. Sobermask coming in with a max special in this time of the fight is so damn strong, and if we had 1 second, if we had gotten 1 more second, Sobermask probably would have just destroyed the enemy and finished him off. As you can see, though, this particular team that he's running, it has a lot of damage output and does very, very well, but once we get to this point of the fight, we got to be careful of stuff like this. As you can see, Sobermask puts in so much work and manages to do a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. Lucky for us, though, we do have the Brachio Bomber coming in to save the day, and that's basically going to say goodbye to the rest of this fight. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me. And if you are new to my channel and you're enjoying the OPTC content, hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!